Today we're taking a look at a job that frankly shouldn't be nearly as powerful as it is. The Red Mage. The Red Mage is presented to the player as a hybrid job, focused on using both offensive and supportive magics in combat, while also having the ability to pick up a sword when needed, though it isn't really needed. In reality, the Red Mage is often utilized as a nigh unstoppable magical beast capable of shredding nearly any enemy in the game thanks to its surprisingly high magic attack potency and specialties, although that doesn't dismiss the other merits of the job at all. But on the topic of specialties, let's go ahead and take a look at them, shall we? First up is Nuisance. Every attack spell while used by a Red Mage will have an added chance of inflicting various ailments onto their target, giving each cast a chance of doing something else to harm your enemies. The potential ailment given is determined by the element of the spell cast. On screen now is the full list of what each element can give you, with Earth and Wind being the most common for Red Mages to utilize without extra sub-job help. With how strong some ailments actually are in Bravely Default 2, being able to potentially screw over your enemies even further with certain spells gives the Red Mage a unique spot as sort of the debuff caster when you first get it. Use the Phantom's Results Guaranteed to help alleviate the RNG factor of this specialty, and you've got a real mean debuffer on your hands. The Red Mage's second specialty is Chain Spell. Every single spell cast by the Red Mage will be immediately cast a second time with no extra cost or fear of activating any counters. Holy crap, is this thing amazing! Again, note that this isn't just red magic that can be chain spelled. Any spell in the game can. So this also works with black magic, white magic, you name it. I think the footage throughout this entire video will probably be enough evidence to support that chain spell is really good. But trust me, being able to have an extra cast of any spell is quite the boon. I guess you should be more careful if you're trying to perform a very specific plan, as then you might run into an issue where chain spell could get in the way of whatever you have planned, but honestly, you shouldn't bring a Red Mage into that situation in the first place unless you really need it. Next is the Red Mage's special move, Gale Force Flurry. That's a mouthful. This move deals a powerful wind attack to all enemies, and while the animation might show your party using a sword, this is indeed a magical-based attack. The bonus effect of Gale Force Flurry is a 15% increase to the party's magic attack and speed. Due to how often you'll be casting red magic, whether for offense or support, this move will be available frequently, so don't be afraid to use it in situations where you might want some extra AoE damage, as that is a blind spot this job has for quite a while. Now let's move on to the Red Mage's combat abilities, which shouldn't take too long, as like its fellow mages, most of the Red Mage's kit are just upgrades of previous actions. Let's start with the primary means of dealing damage on this job, the Stone and Arrow magic families. This consists of Stone, Stonera, Stonega, Quake, Arrow, Arrowra, Arrowga, and Tornado. Yep, quite a bit. Stone spells are tied to the Earth element, while Arrow spells are tied to the Wind element. Keep this in mind, as again, the Red Mage can also apply elements with their magic. As with Black Mage, the usage of these spells is incredibly straightforward. Point your caster at the goblin, and watch it go boom. There is one extra attack spell the Red Mage has, which is Disaster. Disaster combines both wind and earth elements into one cast, dealing more damage than almost any other single cast spell in the game. Though with the unfortunate drawback that if your target has any defenses against either element, wind or earth, Disaster's potency will be reduced significantly, if not outright immuned or absorbed. Keep the weaknesses and resistances of your foes in mind for that one. The other combat abilities at the Red Mage's disposal are their heal spells. This includes Heal, Heal Aura, and Heal Aga. Each of these spells heal a flat amount of HP, restoring 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 HP respectively. Like other restorative magics, these heal spells will do more damage to undead foes, so having a flat 3,000 damage attack at your disposal in certain situations is quite nice. And lastly, all of the Red Mage's spells are naturally single target, so be wise about who you are targeting, not only for healing, but also for damage. Now we move on to the Red Mage's passive abilities, starting with Magic Critical. This passive is exactly what it sounds like. It allows for the user's magic attacks to land critical hits, which is based off of their critical chance stat, just like normal crits are. This is just an easy way to let magic users deal more damage in combat. So if you're interested in running any magic build that isn't 100% guaranteed to deal maximum damage, this passive will almost always have a spot in your setup. Second up is Revenge. When equipped, the user will have about a 25% chance of increasing their BP by 1 when attacked. Excellent for battles where the enemy won't stop hurling crap at you, for tank builds that are constantly blocking attacks for the team, or just to have on your entire party, just for that extra chance at getting an extra action every once in a while. That was a lot of extras. Since Revenge is built around luck, any gear or passives that affect luck will increase its chance of activating, making things like Results Guaranteed or the Lunar and Solar Power passives quite useful. And last up for passives is HP-MP Converter. This passive will swap the cost of actions that require MP to cast to cost HP instead, but will increase the actual cost of the spell by 10 times its initial amount to compensate. This mostly allows you to focus more on using your own health as a resource, since HP is easily replenished with just a few actions. This increase in price also has a unique effect on attacks that had a cost that changed, such as Freehand or Ultima Sword, making their output 10 times stronger than normal, which makes them just a teeny bit more powerful than intended. A neat passive that allows for a different way to approach building a character. So as we can see, the Red Mage is a surprisingly oppressive magic caster when it's normally seen as a jack of all trades in many other Square Enix RPGs. While it is still quite diverse, the job focuses more on being a complete nuisance for the enemy, spreading debuffs around and dishing out an obscene amount of damage at honestly any point in the game. So when looking at sub-jobs, we should look at expanding upon what's already here, rather than trying for something completely different, though that's obviously perfectly fine as well. Freelancer's Late Bloomer bonus obviously helps quite a bit, but Mimic can allow the Red Mage to only pay for a spell cast once for 8 spells in a turn, potentially even more if you aren't doing anything else in combat. And since some of the later Red Mage spells are fairly expensive, looking at you, Disaster, this isn't a bad combination to have. The Black Mage's variety in elements can help give more offensive options in combat, both with throwing elements out or just dealing damage. Not to mention their second specialty, high velocity spells, removing most of the means by which your targets can ignore your attacks. Or you could go the other way with Oracle, just debuffing the enemy to be weak to your magic no matter what, while also having access to 3 new elements. Lastly, if you want to focus more on the debuff side of things with the Red Mage, Phantom is probably your best bet, as it'll let you ensure that your casts will apply an ailment with 0 issues. Have an Oracle in your party alongside you to apply more elements to your attacks, and you'll have access to every ailment in the game right there. Overall, the Red Mage is quite the powerhouse of a job despite its past reputation across the franchise. It has a unique gimmick across the casters with Nuisance, but can also become your mainstay damage dealer thanks to Chainspell, and their high potency magics along with it. The weapon proficiencies of this job also don't matter too much in the long term, and they pull their weight well enough for their middling base stats to not be a problem either. Honestly, the only real negative of this job that I can think of is that their spells are locked to being single target for a really long time. Oh, also, now that I'm thinking about it, when you first get the Red Mage is like the worst time to try it out. So it might not seem like it is really all that good for a while. I just had that experience in my playthrough, so I wanted to go ahead and add that here. Now let's dive into the fashion tier list. Across the board, we have a set that I vibe extremely well with. I'm totally not biased or anything, but Red Mage has pretty much looked amazing in every incarnation of it, so all of these outfits won't be getting anything less than an A from me. The red coat seen across all 4 members is quite pleasing, especially with the rose embroidery theme on them. 2 thumbs up from me. I will say that the silly wizard shoes on Seth and Elvis is a bit of a stinker, but nothing too crazy. If only they had the extravagant hats that their Final Fantasy counterparts are known for, but oh well, it would have clashed with the more reserved nature of this iteration anyhow. Now, I will say that Adele's take on the Red Mage is probably my favorite, with her flowing coat and overall more badass vibes that I get from it. So, S tier for Adele.